Hi guys, we're back for Humanities 3. Today is March 23rd, and this is your second lesson for our distance learning unit that we are doing on economies. We have Miss Mudahakana here also. We miss you. We're so glad that you're here with us today, but we want to jump in so that way you guys can make sure that you are staying on track, because there's only so many days to graduation and so many days for you to not be a Humanities 3 student. So we want to make sure that you guys are all set and ready to go with all of that. So again, just to remind you, you guys can email us if you have any questions at our school accounts. You can also reach us by, or reach me by posting on Instagram and following there at the Not Quite Couture Teacher. And you can always call or text either of us as well if you're needing some extra support, or if you just want to say, hey. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. And I wanted to make sure that everybody has their worksheet. So if you don't have that already up in your Google Classroom, that's going to be the best way for you to follow along with us today. All right, so I'm going to pull that up for you right now. Okay, so we have the date up here. It's March 23rd to 25th. So this is going to be the start of your Monday, Wednesday time period. So just keep in mind that the document isn't going to change much for Wednesday's class, okay? And Ms. Mudahakana, did you want to introduce the objectives and everything today?
Let me share my screen so that they can see my face.
Okay. I think I'll probably have to stop sharing then. There we go.
Okay, so let's get started. So you can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So for this first part, so we just wanted to go over again the competencies. The first one is to read critically, because you're gonna be doing a lot of reading for this part, but there's also gonna be videos. But we're going to be gathering evidence, especially since this week you're going to be doing your mini QPA. You're going to be doing the brochure. So before you build it, you're going to do some reading, some research, so that you can have the correct information that you're gonna put on your brochure. So the first one, again, competency is read critically. The second one is to lead inquiry, okay? And these are the PLDs that we're going to be assessing you on. So these are the two of them. So now let's look at the objective for today. The first one is students will be able to cite evidence by annotating an article and explaining the evidence in their own words. And then the second objective, which we're really going to focus on Wednesday, is going to be students will be able to create an informative brochure using textual evidence from multiple sources. So as you can see, there are two dates. So for Monday and Tuesday, we're going to focus on gathering, your information by reading the articles, like watching the videos, and so really gathering your evidence. And then Wednesday to Friday, you're going to be building your brochure, okay? So now let's move on to the do now. So at this time on your handout, this is the directions. Answer the following questions in the Google Classroom discussion dated for today, March 23rd, Monday. Then reply to at least one of your classmates. This is the question that you want to be answering. How has the toilet paper shortage impacted consumers and distributors? Feel free to do some quick research and post your links in your response. So really be thinking about, I know maybe some of you have gone to the supermarkets, you've seen that there's not a lot of toilet paper left, maybe also even other items. Like I recently went and there was like no rice, no hand soap, so things like that. So be thinking about how does that affect consumers, and how does that also affect the people, the distributors? So like the people where the grocery stores are getting their products from. So now we're going to switch to Miss Couture. She's going to go over the lesson.
Okay. All right, guys. So thanks, Ms. Mudahakana, for doing that for us today. So just as a quick reminder, I do want to make sure that on those class discussions, you guys are really just being mindful that this is an academic setting still. You can definitely, make jokes to your peers and be silly with them, but just keep in mind language and being respectful. Sometimes tone doesn't always get you know, read or interpreted in the way that you'd want to when it's just typing or like a text message style. So just keep that in mind, but have fun with these questions, because this is a nice way for you guys to interact when it's not a live session. All right, so if you go to the very bottom of your first page, I just wanted to lay out a couple of the things for you in terms of what we are expecting for your brochure. So you can read the list there, but basically it's making sure that you understand your specific assigned economy. It does need to be in your own words. You gotta tell me the advantages and disadvantages of that specific type of economy. And then a little bit blurb on how it compares to the other two types of economies that you learned about. I'd also like for you to give examples of countries that use your specific type of economy and why it works or doesn't work so well. And then you need to have at least 4 visual representations of your economy. It can be charts, graphs, images, but I do want it to be a mix of those things. You'll also need to do a works cited page just within the brochure. So that'll take up an entire section of your brochure. So nice and easy there. And then you'll create a list of vocabulary terms. And you'll, of course, want to make sure that you're checking for punctuation, grammar, spelling, and make sure that it's organized and visually appealing. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to just take a look at, just so you have an idea, so you feel confident in the amount of information that we're giving you. You're going to be able to view the brochure example here. I did it on a separate type of government and economy that you didn't learn about. And then we also assigned your economies. So you guys can find that in your worksheet as well. Please do not do your brochure on anything that you haven't been assigned. And then lastly, we started to put together some sources for you. So it is expected that you'll read at least the sources that you've been given, but you should definitely work on getting some additional sources of your own. So this is where you could utilize researching some videos and things like that to help you. All right, so, and those are all divided there for you. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna just watch a video on how to paraphrase, and then we're gonna work on one together. We'll show you how Miss Mudahakana and I teamed up and did it for one of the articles that you saw above, okay? So make sure you're ready to go. And she's definitely more entertaining than I am, so be ready. And it's loading, and it's loading. Let's do our loading dance. You guys ready? Anytime, maybe.
You're here. Probably know a thing or two about paraphrasing, but still struggle to master the art of it. Fear not. I'll explain how to paraphrase in 5 easy steps and give you a few tips along the way. Stay tuned. Hi.
Sorry guys, I'm just gonna pause you right there. I would love for you to be able to take notes at this point. So if you have a notebook or a piece of paper, definitely take notes. Otherwise the video is there for your reference as well.
These steps and give you a few tips along the way. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jessica from SUBRSCRIBE, and we're here to help you achieve your academic goals. And in this video, we'll be talking about paraphrasing. So, what is paraphrasing? A paraphrase is a rewriting of a specific passage from someone else. It's done in your own words without changing the original meaning and also not removing any information. Okay, we know the meaning, so let's get started. Here are 5 easy steps to paraphrasing. Step 1. Read the passage several times to fully understand the meaning. Step 2. Note down the key concepts. Step 3. Write your version of the text without looking at the original. Step 4. Compare your paraphrase text with the original one, and if you find phrases too similar, make changes. Step 5. Cite the source of the text like the example here. You can also cite easily with the SUBRSCRIBE citation generator. Remember, you don't need the quotation marks to paraphrase. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You know the steps, but it's still quite difficult to actually produce a piece of text that's different from the original. Don't you worry, I have 4 tips to help make everything easier for you. Whenever you see this little pause button, It's there to remind you if you ever need more time to read through the examples, you can pause and take your time. Tip number 1, start your first sentence at a different point from the original source. Tip number 2, use synonyms. Make use of the thesaurus if you can't think of any synonyms. Tip number 3, change the sentence structure. Try using passive voice if the original text used active, and vice versa. Final tip, break long sentences into smaller sentences, or combine sentences into a longer one. In this example, you can see we've applied the 4 tips. First, we introduce the context followed by the last part of the original sentence, which is the expectations of creators, regulators, and users. We also use quite a few synonyms, such as exposed a critical turning point, made it apparent, outpaces, rapidly eclipsed, power, immense influence.
So just to give you guys a heads up, here we go. I want to make sure that you're noticing those changes that she made.
Power.
So when you'll see this in the example that Ms. Mudahakana and I did as well, but she went through literally and said, okay, how can I say exposed a critical turning point? And put that into my own words. And so she did that, right? She said, made it apparent. So that's what it did. It brought that information to the forefront. Instead of power, they use rapidly eclipsed. That just sounds to me like better writing as well, right? So that's where you really want to focus on, getting from those, like some of those level 1 words up to a higher level 3 word, and increasing your vocabulary. And again, if you can't think of a synonym, you can literally do what I did and go into dictionary.com for your word and look at the various synonyms, or just type synonyms into Google on your phone or laptop, and find the words there. Okay, so we're gonna let her go on, and I'll try not to stop the video again.
Immense influence. Third, we change from active to passive voice. Technology outpaces what users, regulators, or even its creators expected. The expectations of creators, regulators, and users have been rapidly eclipsed by technology. And finally, the original was 1 long sentence. We broke it into 2 smaller sentences. Now that you know the tips for paraphrasing, make sure you don't confuse it with quoting, which is when you copy a source word by word. Naturally, you should end up paraphrasing most of the information you found instead of quoting if you have done your research thoroughly, which is ultimately a better solution since it shows that you have digested your text, your paper will have a much better flow, plus your voice will remain dominant throughout the paper. With that being said, only use quotes when you are giving a definition, presenting an author's position, or when you want to support your argument. Make sure to check out this video on how to quote if you're interested. And that's it for today's video. If you've learned something, give this video a like, and if you have a question, ask away in the comment down below and I will reply. See you soon in our next video.
Okay. Let's get rid of her for a second. Ooh. All right, so if you have any questions regarding that, or you need to watch the video again, it is linked right into your student document. Okay, so the next thing that we did is Ms. Mudahakana and I looked at this article from News ELA, which everybody should have access to. If you don't have access to it, it's really easy to sign up. You get a free subscription. Just use your school email and then put in whatever password that you're going to remember. And we'll get to the point possibly where we'll actually start assigning text that way for all of you guys to take a look at. But this is the article that we went to and for part of our research. Okay, so you can see that I put in down below, I'm using my graphic organizer and I'm looking at the source section first. So here I put the title of the text, the author, and then I put the link in as well. So instead of having that big www dot and then all the rest of it, if you want to put a link in, you can right click and then you can press link, and then you would be able to just put in your copy and paste the website itself, and then you can title it whatever you want to title it. Okay, and then you would just apply there, and then it pops up like this. So that way you don't have that big thing that's going to make your graphic organizer super long. So then the next thing that we did was we did a summary of the text, right? So just like the video said, you want to make sure that you understand what the text is saying and really be able to put it into your own words. So here we have the article and what it's about. So in the article, the author talks about how American politicians such as Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are following the model of Nordic countries, especially in terms of the types of policies they want to introduce. Some of the Nordic countries are Sweden, Finland, and Norway. The Nordic model closely aligns with the capitalistic economic system where there is a dependence on taxpayer money to provide services for the nation. What Sanders and AOC are failing to miss is that the Nordic countries they refer to are having their middle class pay a higher percentage in taxes so all can benefit from these ideas. And so in the United States, typically that, you know, this is a similar idea, but what they're presenting is more of like a socialistic view on providing for their citizens. So we took a quote and we went to paragraph 17. We actually like counted the paragraphs, so be aware of that. And we put in the direct quote here. Where it says, none of the Nordic countries enrolled undocumented immigrants in their national health plans on equal terms with citizens within legal residence. The countries provide acute care to undocumented adults and full care to children on an ad hoc basis. This is not unlike the United States, which provides billions of dollars worth of health care to undocumented people through various channels. So that's our exact quote there. When we paraphrase, again, paraphrase, we're restating the evidence in our own words, right? So we went right down to this section and we said, okay, well, unlike what Sanders is proposing, Nordic nations who offer a national healthcare plan do not accept undocumented immigrants. The United States currently provides healthcare of undocumented people in many ways, such as community clinics, emergency rooms, and if they can afford it, by private unsubsidized care. Okay, so some of the things that we kept the same, obviously we wanted to keep Nordic the same because that's the area of the world that we're specifically talking about. We also talked about national health care plans. That's something that's like the main subject, so you wouldn't necessarily change that. But we did change some specific words. One of them was, instead of saying, I know we did provide, let's see. Sorry, guys. So we talked about like equal terms, oops, and we wanted to make sure that here we're providing healthcare. The United States provides healthcare basically to any undocumented person. We also talked about like the specific places and then unsubsidized care. What that means is basically that the people who are receiving that care are not getting any sort of money towards it like you would if you have insurance or something like that. Okay, so you can see that those two sentences that we had, or a couple of sentences that we had in the original have been shortened a lot with our paraphrase. All right, so again, what you guys are going to be doing on your own is you're going to take a look at any of the articles that we provided for your specific section that you've been assigned, or you can find a video on your own. But either way, you should have 3 articles. And did we say the 3 videos or 2 videos, Ms. Mudahakana? 2, right? I think that's what we have room for. Yeah. So at least 5 sources that you're going to be looking at, and you're again going to be doing the same process. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Keep in mind that tomorrow is, tomorrow, Tuesday, from 9:30 to 9:50 is our live help session. So if you have questions or concerns about any of this, you can reach us there. You'll receive the Zoom invitation shortly. And then you'll just want to make sure that you're available for that. Or if you have questions and you're like, I really just need to get this out, you can feel free to email us or text, or even put it into the discussion board on Google Classroom, whatever you guys prefer. Okay?
So please remember to put your alarm clocks on. Don't be late, 9:30, be there on Tuesday so that we can chat and they can see your faces.
Yes. All right. All right. We missed you guys. We hope that this session was helpful, and we can't wait to be able to see you more face to face, whether it's through Zoom or whatever other way we decide. All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.